podcast alone.
I'm your French-speaking host, Madelyn.
I'm your I took it in high school host, Emma.
Which of us is telling the truth? Welcome to this week's show. It's my side quest this week, and at Emma's strong insistence, just kidding, my side quest topic is games in France.
Yes, Malin, what was the inspiration for this?
Just felt like it. Looked at a fry. No, I was just as we talked about on last week's show, recorded live from Paris, France. I was just in Paris for a week, and so it felt like, in the Madelyn spirit of only picking side quest topics that have to do with something in the immediate experience of the side quest week, we gotta talk about games in France. Did I play any video games while I was in France? No. Maybe a little bit of Bejeweled 2 in French airspace, I think. Possibly a bit of Vampire Survivors. I'm not sure how long we fly above France in Paris.
You did see a video game related image.
Oh, yes. I did see a good piece of street art sticker thing that was Mario as the Mona Lisa.
Yes.
So, pretty good.
Pretty good.
All things considered.
Also this year, pretty significant video entry into the video game canon that is French.
Oh, Emma's prompting me.
Yeah, I'm prompting
Sorry.
you.
It's harder when we're not. This is a this live episode. They're always live. I don't know why I said it like that. But recorded in the same place live episode, and it's a little harder for me to pick up on cues that I'm supposed to finish the sentence when I'm looking at Emma from the side.
Well, you're explaining the episode. So.
You're right. So it's also inspired, of course, by the existence of Claire Obscure Expedition 33, the Frenchest of French games.
The probably Game of the Year winner.
Sure.
I don't remember if the nominations were out last time we had the podcast.
So.
But they are out now, and it will probably win everything that it's up for, is my guess. So
the goated goatee.
It is quite a French year for video games in general.
So we want to talk about, games. There are not so many games set in France as you would think for a major country. There's not so many games set anywhere, really.
There's a lot of fantasy games.
Sure. There's also a lot of sports games that have some element that takes place in France.
Sure.
There's a lot of, shockingly, World War I and World War II games that have some elements that take place in France.
Mm-hmm.
Driving or racing games that take place in France. But yeah, Claire Obscure is interesting. Everybody calls it Expedition 33, right?
Well, Claire Obscure is going to be the series name if there is one, right?
Sure. I just think it's so much more interesting than Expedition 33. I can't get myself to call it that.
Well, you can keep calling it this until they announce another one.
Sure. So anyway, a lot of that stuff that is set in France in like a quasi-modern way because there is sports there. The World War I and World War II stuff is not set there in a quasi-modern way, but you get what I mean.
Yep.
But yeah, not a ton of modern day France or
There's Dodon.
Sure.
Which I think we played at PAX one year, or at least saw at PAX one year.
Sounds right.
Remember Me. From Don't Nod.
Yep.
Who are French. I'm sure there's more. Any game that features Beauty and the Beast.
Yes, we really picked this so we could talk about 4 or 5 Kingdom Hearts games.
The iconic location where Roxas, that's a stick, takes place.
France.
That's France. That happens in France.
Yeah, there are some other weird ones. Overwatch apparently has 2 French maps.
All right.
Paris map and a chateau.
I wasn't really aware that Overwatch took place in the real world.
Yeah, now you know.
So now I know, I guess.
Final Fight 2 and King of Fighters 2 both have France stages.
Sure. A lot of fighting games have this is the person from this country.
Right.
right? Yeah. So that makes sense to me.
I don't condone this, but I thought it was funny that Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup, I guess probably has like a Beauxbatons or whatever. Sure, yeah. French, I was like, sure, notable French game. And then, of course, this is not modern France, but Assassin's Creed 3 and 4 have some portions that take place in Martinique, which is a French territory. And then Assassin's Creed Unity, of course, is the Assassin's Creed, like, French Revolution game. Right. So, I knew there had to be one.
Yeah, there is a Wikipedia list of games set in France. I think it only had Valhalla on there for some reason. Mm-hmm. Which I guess must take place in areas that are part of France. Yeah. Now. Yes. But yeah, I sort of assumed there had to be an actual French one, too.
Also a lot of asterisk and obelisk games.
Sure. Tintin.
Sure. Exactly. But then also some stuff, and you talked about this a little bit in the context of Clair Obscur, of, like, what counts as France? Right, there's few enough games set in actual France at this point. Like, if you were making a list of games set in Japan, for instance, you probably wouldn't feel the need to include things that are like, well, like, that's obviously inspired by Japan, but, like, it's not actually Tokyo, which was invented for Persona 5.
Yes, right.
Whereas, or even with America, it's like, you wouldn't be like, well, I'm going to include this thing that's clearly inspired by America, but isn't. Right. Right? But the French game settings, there's few enough games that are set in France, which again, there's still plenty of them relative to, like, I don't know, Borneo, right? Sure. But, like, enough that you can put them all on one Wikipedia page. But it does include games that have, like, highly French-inspired settings that are not France. Clair Obscur, I think, is maybe a little bit more borderline than Pokemon X and Y, mm-hmm. which were listed there, and it's like, well, yes, what is the region called here? Kalos is obviously based on France. Has, like, its fake Pokemon Eiffel Tower, whatever, fake Pokemon Paris. But, like, it's not France. And yet, here it is.
Yeah. I mean, Pokemon's been doing that lately. Like, Scarlet Violet was Spain. I believe Z to A is, London.
Right. UK.
The UK. So they've been taking, like, we're doing this country, but it's not actually this country.
Well, I mean, even the first Pokemon game, like, you wouldn't look at Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow and be like, that's set in Japan.
Right, yeah.
Even though it kind of is.
Sure.
Anyway, my point being that, like, that's a game, there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's cool that they do that, to be honest. It's, like, a cool design thing. Yeah. To use. But would be weird to describe it as a game set in France. It's not set in France. There's not Pokemon in France.
It's magical realism, Alan. Learn that's what Pokemon is.
Yeah. An alternate reality where France is Kalos. Anyway, same thing with Clair Obscur, right? That one I think is a little bit, like, maybe you could somehow make an argument that this is some kind of alternate history.
I mean, Paris is the city of light, right?
Yeah.
And their city is Lumière.
Right.
So there's the Eiffel Tower, there's the Arc de Triomphe.
Which I did not notice at all, by the way.
I didn't notice at all, but apparently it's there.
Yeah.
I saw multiple places that the Arc de Triomphe is there.
Sure.
But I believe them.
I believe them too. I didn't see it.
I wasn't really looking for it, to be fair. But yes, very inspired by France, via the Belle Epoque style, via something bad happened to this place.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah.
Gaming in France, as in much of the world, France has, like, a pretty robust, I started a sentence and then I'm going to restart that sentence. There's support for gaming and art in France that does not exist in the United States.
Yes.
To some extent. But also, separately and because of that, France has quite a robust game development and gaming culture in general.
Well, they've got Ubisoft.
Yes, they sure do. That does seem to have, like, it was interesting reading about, you had an article that was about, like, a small studio, maybe, that was starting in that same region where Ubisoft is.
Oh, I had from Game Bakers.
Yes, smaller studio. I played a little bit of Haven. But it's interesting to think about, like, how hubs emerge, right? Because obviously, you know, I talk about this in this article about how, like, we wanted to be in Montpellier, right? That was good French. But of course, the reason for that is, like, Ubisoft was there, and then some other people, like people moved there to make games, but then they want to do their own thing, but they wanted to be in a place where there's a bunch of people who want to make games, right? So it's weird to think about. It's not weird. It makes total sense. It's just, like, how history works. But it's interesting to think about, in this, like, random place that happened to happen because, like, these bros wanted to make games.
I think Ubisoft Montpellier is a sub-studio, though.
Still, my point being,
I believe it's headquartered in Paris still.
Oh, you're right. But I mean, like, there's a robust game development scene in there as well. Like, not just, like, of course you would expect one to be in Paris.
Sure, yeah.
But elsewhere, and, you know, it's like the whole Silicon Valley thing or whatever here. There's no necessary reason for it to be that way, except that people started doing it there, and then the brains were there, and they continued to multiply. So, anyway, though, seems like you can work in cool places if you're a game developer in France.
Sometimes. We'll see how long Sandfall keeps their manner. I did enjoy, yes, there's a very long, old Game Informer article, like oral history of Ubisoft with, you know, a bunch of people who have since been exposed as quite problematic, let's say. But just talking about, like, how it came to be, which I sort of vaguely knew it was, like, a family, like, all the brothers business. But it was interesting to read about that. But for the first, like, year and a half, they worked out of a castle in Brittany. And that's how, like, they attracted people to work for them. It's like, you can work in this, like, cool as hell castle. But apparently it was quite expensive to heat it or cool it.
Yeah.
Or do both. Anything with it. So they only had it for, like, a year and a half before they're like, okay, now you're all coming back to Paris.
Yeah, the castle era is over. But didn't we have fun? Yes, because there's Ubisoft, there's Don't Nod, there's Arcane.
Oh, yes.
Right.
You confused me.
What?
There's another Arcane that was made in France. I was like, that's not a
TV
game
show,
studio.
Arcane, but there's also the
with
game
the K,
studio,
with the
Arcane
K.
for Dishonored. So there's some big games coming out of France.
Yeah.
And that's probably partially because, like I said, yes, there's some nice tax breaks for being a game developer in France.
Yes.
And there's also, like, grants available to support smaller companies. Who would have thought?
Yes.
That would lead to some gaming innovation. I also read an article that, like, there was, like, a real perception in, like, the 80s that, like, the French were making really artistic games. And then that stopped.
Hasn't that always been sort of the French
right? Yeah.
reputation? I mean, they did talk in this Ubisoft article, like, oh, you know, we had like 100 people working on Rayman, which was like unheard of for France, right? Like you could get that many in America, you get that many in Japan, you could not get that many in France until now. And also it was a 2D game, which apparently they were quite concerned about how they were actually going to sell it.
Sure. It's tricky. No, I did read that too, that there are actually a pretty large number of, like, relatively successful French gaming companies, and of course, like, it's a smaller country, right? It's hard to compare it. But there are like a decent number of companies that are making like 1 million euro or something, but like not very many companies that are making 10 million euro or something like that. So it's a pretty like diverse market and a disparate market. But other than like the Ubisofts of the world, there's not nearly as many like AAA quote unquote things. So the pathway there is not as clear. Things aren't growing to that. But also a lot of gamers in France.
Sure.
I just mean, I don't know, like even 10 years ago that 80% of people have played a video game in the past 12 months. And I guess that's probably true in the States too. But still, that feels like a lot of gamers.
You do have to not to say that like playing Candy Crush means you're not playing games, but I do think it's interesting to think to define what playing a game counts as, you know.
It does seem like though, so like for instance, and I'm sure this didn't actually happen because I think I would have read about it, but like for a while, a few years ago, they were talking about, you know, they have these tax credits, they have these grants, and they were also talking about, well, I don't know. Do we feel like this is more advanced or less advanced than how we talk about games in the States, right? Like, think about how politicians engage with video games in the United States.
Well, I mean, Macron has talked about, like, video games causing violence, too.
Sure. I'm not saying it's...
pretty standard politician talk at that. I'm talking about the level we talk about them in the United States.
Sure. Yes. Agreed with that. But I mean, in terms of the, like, comprehension of what a video game is, perhaps.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
Like think about like what that looks like for like the United States. And then you know, there was like about 10 years ago some all sorts of stuff that was kind of about like, oh, like let's make stickers that announce when a game has a positive representation of women, right? Let's make having sexism in games something that pushes the rating up to 18 plus. And I think these are crazy ideas, to be honest. I think these are bad ideas.
Sure, yeah.
To be frank.
Yes.
But it does indicate a level of like engagement with this media as art, I guess. Or at least on the same cultural level as like a movie. Right?
Sure.
That I don't necessarily feel like has permeated US Congress.
Yeah, I didn't write this down, but there are also like court cases with like Steam and how they sell licenses to games rather than games right now that have been moving through various European courts. And I think there was a French court ruling against Steam at some point, which doesn't lead to any policy changes. At most, it leads to like Valve having to pay like a negligible amount, like a 60th of a yacht or whatever. But it is interesting to see them like talking about like game ownership over there too. They have like the Stop Killing Games initiative in Europe as well. That just isn't a thing.
Yes, consumer protection's much stronger there in general.
They went on strike. They had a general strike in France for video game workers.
They have like a French video games union.
Yes.
Can you imagine?
I can never find reporting. Whenever I look up strikes, it's always like, there's a strike. It's like, yeah, okay. What happened?
Yeah, no.
You just can't find follow-up reporting very easily. So I have no idea what happened with that strike, but they did it. And Ubisoft gets a lot of strikes in general, too.
Sure. Bad place to work.
Yeah.
So, sure. There's also there's like a weird amount of video game activity that happens in Versailles.
Louis XIV would have loved Fortnite.
Thank you for pivoting to my end of notes comments here.
Okay.
So I thought to myself, okay, like what are some other French things I could talk about for this episode? And I'll ask you these questions before I report on them.
Okay.
Do you think Napoleon Bonaparte would have liked video games?
Man, I don't really know much about these people other than he wasn't as short as people say he was.
Okay, just vibes based. I'm not holding you to this.
Okay. No, he's busy.
Okay, well, Quora disagrees with you.
Okay.
I read a quote that says, "What would Napoleon Bonaparte probably have thought of a game such as Napoleon Total War?"
Sure.
And here's the quote. I would have loved it dearly if it had been as easy and straightforward in real life as well. About Napoleon Total War, probably. The absence of the smell of the dead and wounded is also a big plus. Presumably, Napoleon again.
Fair enough.
Yes, the internet consensus seemed to be that Napoleon might enjoy a war strategy game in the same way as, like, truckers like Euro Truck Simulator.
Fair enough.
Right?
Yeah,
it's like a simpler version of what he normally does. Now the real question is, would he enjoy Assassin's Creed? Right?
Probably. I don't know. You probably kill Napoleon in one of those.
Almost certainly. Speaking of, because there is a French Revolution, Assassin's Creed, I do feel confident in saying, having both been to Versailles recently and then, like, read a little bit about this, that Marie Antoinette, who loved gambling, apparently, at least for a portion of her life, R.I.P., she would have loved gacha games.
Yeah, she would have bankrupted her country on gacha games.
Absolutely, no question.
Let them have an SR.
Let them eat S-rank cake.
Down. SR. Okay.
Okay.
R, SR, SSR, UR.
I'm going to cut your head off. So yes, I did do a little bit of thinking about, French figures. And I think, here's the thing. Everyone in France plays video games now, so probably these people would have liked video games.
Fair enough.
And Ubisoft specifically.
There's a very big video game museum, Project Odyssey.
Yes.
Supposed to be opening in France in 2028. We should probably go.
Yes.
It's gonna be like a big, someone with a very big collection of consoles and a YouTuber guy. I'm sorry, a Jeux professionnel.
Yes,
or
we
whatever.
read about this. The French really don't want to use loan words for this. They want the purity of the language is important.
And this guy with all the gaming history was like, I can't keep this, I'm gonna sell it. And the YouTuber was like, what if we make a museum? And then there was some other guy too, and so now they're making a museum with a whole, like, Japanese village attached to it, just for kicks. Why not?
The French do love Japanese culture.
Yes. So. Yes. Yeah, offhandedly, I know that France is a pretty big market for, like, anime and manga.
Mm-hmm.
You know, outside of the US and Japan.
Yes.
And obviously are quite inspired by Japanese video games, shown by the Frenchiest of French games, Clair Obscur, also being quite Japanese inspired.
Yes. There's also a French Games Week that takes place in Versailles, which is part of why I called that out. There was some kind of I encountered some kind of exhibit program from, like, a history of games museum thing that was in Versailles. I was like, oh, okay, great, Versailles. Mm-hmm. Games Hub.
Yeah.
Who would have guessed?
Yeah.
Do you think that Clair Obscur is going to lead to, like, a bunch of French pastiche games?
What do you mean?
So it was big and popular.
Yes.
And there are not so many games that are, like, as there's a mime here, French, as that game. Do you think that
from French developers?
Or non-French developers?
Well, the thing is, I think that a lot of it's... Well, you could probably go into, like, whether some of its storytelling is French, too, which I do not have the expertise of French cinema to talk about or anything. But I feel like a lot of its surface stuff is quite French. It's aesthetics. But at its core, it's very, like, we played a lot of role-playing games from Japan.
Right.
And that's there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Will we see more Western games taking that, like, JRPG base and putting their own stuff on top of it? yes, I think that's more likely than being like, we've got mimes in this too, you know?
You think so?
Yes.
I just feel like they captured something like that. The Belle Epoque era, right, is not something that we've seen a lot of video game representation of, necessarily.
Sure, the architecture, whatever.
Sure, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying
I don't think we're gonna have baguette outfits and mimes and whatever.
Why not?
I don't know.
I don't see why not. No, I'll just be curious because, I mean, as you said, it's not that the game itself is so innovative, right? It's not this crazy French gameplay style. There's not really a French style of gameplay. There's no FRPG.
Yeah. I was thinking a lot about this because I was reading one review. It was Vulture or Variety, one of the V sites.
Vulture, I think.
That was called, like, what if a game was French?
Yeah.
And was their, like, review of Clair Obscur.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really about that, but it was talking about, like, oh, they've added, like, their cultural elements on top of something familiar to make it feel fresh.
Yeah.
And you know, we had just had this discussion a whole last year about, like, the JRPG terminology, right?
Is it offensive?
And well, it's ultimately, like, at its base, I don't think it's offensive because, like, different cultures have different storytelling traditions, right? And different ways of doing things arise from the way people work in different places, and that's just natural. But we, of course, had a very long time in games media where we used it pejoratively.
Mm-hmm.
And racistly.
Yep.
And through no fault of Clair Obscur, really, that has brought up a lot of stuff of, like, wow, I love this fresh new game.
Right.
That's pulling from a lot of Japanese stuff that people perhaps wouldn't have touched because it's too Japanese.
Sure.
And it's just, it's interesting to think about, like, oh, I love how French this is, you know?
Yeah.
And the sort of feeling there. And if we'll get more things that are like, well, we've taken these systems that were created in JRPGs, but this one's Spanish. You know? And, like, theoretically, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like it when things are cool looking and brought from someone's culture and whatever. But it does have, like, uncomfortableness to it that isn't anybody's fault, you know?
I do. I know you just threw out Spanish as, like, an example. So I'm not putting too much weight on this example that you just threw out. But it is interesting to think about. I mean, this is so much bigger than this podcast can contain here, right? But the different kinds of foreignness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I do think our perception of Japanese things, or maybe in particular Korean things, are changing in some of this regard. And it's like foreign and weird, right? But French foreign is always foreign and sophisticated, or maybe can be foreign and like,
yes.
like there's maybe a snootiness that we associate with it, but for the most part, French foreignness is, if not cool, then it's like it's familiar, but no, like it's still different from us. But it's we point at it and we go, oh, I recognize that.
Yeah,
I'm like, maybe it's my heritage, or it's a foreign that I understand, or that I have a thematic conception of that isn't just it's weird. If I don't understand something French, I go, oh, it's French.
Yeah.
Right, as opposed to if I don't understand something Japanese, I go, oh, it's Japanese.
Right.
I don't.
Widely, yes.
In a broadly cultural way, a few decades ago, at least. So it's interesting to think about that baggage, especially in the context of just game aesthetics. Because anybody, I mean, that's what I was trying to get at. I know you're saying you don't think this is going to happen, but I'm saying, anybody could look at Clair Obscur and go, huh, they took something that is really a style that originated in Japan and that is most associated with Japanese games and games that look quite Japanese.
Yes.
For the most part, whatever that means.
Yes.
Right? That have a historical style that is associated with Japanese developers. and they slapped a French aesthetic on it. That's such a pejorative way of saying that. They did a lot of work to put a French aesthetic on it. They did not just throw escargot everywhere.
That is a suggestion for their next game. I did think that was funny.
And they probably could have done something funny with that, and maybe they still will. But they took these mechanics that are generally associated with a different stylistic presentation, and they put French on it, and people really liked it. And they sold a lot of games.
Yes.
And so if I'm a developer of something else, I might be thinking, oh, this was a great example, and Clair Obscur is a good game. I'm not saying that it's just they put French on something and it wouldn't have sold if it looked like something else, but it was fresh because it was French. I might be looking at that and going, oh, I have this game in X genre. If I made it French, would everyone go, oh, that's fresh, that's new, I'm interested in that?
I do think there is some element of they are also French.
Sure.
So I do think that, like, it's French and all the way through, right? It's not people putting a French aesthetic on top of something.
Sure.
Although, I don't know, people do that with Japanese stuff all the time, so maybe they could do that.
Are gamers smart enough to know the difference?
I think perhaps they care more about Frenchness than they do necessarily about Japaneseness. This is getting...
I do want to call out here, too, that the tax credits that the French government gives, which offer up to 30% off on expenses, so long as the games have cultural or artistic value, which, making it in France or having a French setting can be a lot of points toward those cultural or artistic value things. So this game, they Clair Obscur even, and probably they would have qualified anyway. I don't know the details of qualifying for this tax credit, and God willing, I never will.
Right, yes.
But they were originally not developing this game to be like French.
No.
It was
London.
Sure. And so you do wonder if anybody sat down and was like, hey, gotta make sure the tax credit comes through to hit our numbers here. So maybe it could be French?
Maybe.
The accountant saved the day.
Just on the other side of it, too, of like, this game is so French, right? Mm-hmm. It technically has a French dub.
Yeah.
It's no more or less original than the English dub. They're both dubbing on top of the motion capture actors. Mm-hmm. But, like, those guys are never going to get nominated for Game Awards.
Yeah.
This is the first year that a Japanese actor is nominated for a Game Award, So that's also interesting to think about of, like, they've got 3 voice actors from Clair Obscur nominated, but it's all the English ones. Mm-hmm. But it's a very French game. It's just interesting to think about, right? I mean, of course, it's just because most people are playing the English dub still.
Do you think the guy, Charlie
Cox?
Do you think the French equivalent actor knew what he was doing? Like, had played a game before?
I have no idea. I don't know anything about the French cast.
I know, I'm just kidding.
I just know that they exist.
Yeah. I mean, that's a problem that permeates all media, though, right? I mean, the Oscars are the same.
Right,
Nobody gets nominated if they're not in English language. Not to be constantly being like, oh, I'm comparing this to Japanese games, but it's also interesting to think about, in Japanese media generally, doing the Japanese voice track or the English voice track is like a big decision that says something about you.
Yes.
And I haven't seen any discussion for Clair Obscur of like, oh, French or English. Like, that's a big decision that says something about you.
They got Andy Serkis and Charlie Cox and, so.
English dubs often also have big name actors attached.
I know.
So.
There is the added element of, like, neither of these are the original. I have no idea, actually, what the script was written in first. I believe the narrative director is not French, so I assume it's written in English first. But, so I guess that could be a decision of, like, what's the original? Mm-hmm. But I don't actually know that for sure. And obviously, it was all performed by French motion capture actors first.
Yeah.
Before anybody did any voice work over it. That's been Charlie Cox's response to his Game Awards nomination was, I think that the motion capture actor should be nominated.
Yeah.
So, That's a whole other thing. But yes, it is interesting to think about, like, nobody's thinking about, like, I need my authentic French experience, really.
Yeah.
Or if they are, it's not a sizable enough contingent to raise a stink about it.
Well, and also, I saw a little bit of griping online about something like Assassin's Creed Unity and how certain historical figures were characterized. But it's interesting, too, to compare that to something like Ghost of Tsushima or whatever, and all of the discussion around the kind of Kurosawa pastiche of that, right?
Yeah.
Or how cultural things are portrayed versus like, like Marie Antoinette, like, whatever, probably fine.
I mean, for what it's worth, what I've heard about Japanese, at least social media's response to things like Ghost of Tsushima and Assassin's Creed Shadows was mostly like, yeah, cool.
Yeah. I mean, sure.
And that was kind of the end of the response.
Yeah.
I think there was something about, like, Torii gates in the Assassin's Creed one that was a little bit online. A lot of people were cherry picking and trying to pretend that they were upset about the Yasuke stuff, but that does not seem to have been an actual concern among Japanese social media users.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, right. I remember all the Yasuke.
Yes.
But okay, yeah, to circle back to your original off the cuff example that I don't think you meant anything by Spanish.
Flamenco?
Sure. I mean, I guess maybe if we're doing like a white Spanish, maybe that's a little different. But
like Latin American.
Sure. I mean, I think a game taking a
salsa dancing.
Stop. Yeah, I mean, sure. No, but I think a game taking a Spanish, okay, maybe actual Spain would get away with some of this, but I think even that gets kind of like lumped in with Latin America now to a certain extent. I think it's interesting also to think about what kind of cultural trappings people latch on to fine, and which ones trigger culture warriors, right?
Sure.
So, Japanese-y stuff might trigger people going, oh, weird, like anime, weeb, right?
And also the other way. Japan is the one true mecca that has no politics.
Sure, exactly. Right? A French game can probably mostly sidestep some of that stuff, or it seems to have, right? Nobody's like, oh, the politics of a French-themed game. Right, whereas
I see what you mean.
I think if you released a Spanish game,
we'd have people going,
woke, like, this is woke. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So it's, again, this is way too big for this podcast.
But it's way too big to put on France.
Yeah, but it's interesting to look at, oh, here's this big game, here are some studios out of France, whatever. Like, I know that Ubisoft is a French studio, right? Because, I mean, frankly, because the guys have really French-sounding names.
Yeah.
That's not something you would think about at all. In Assassin's Creed or anything that they do, you wouldn't look at that and go, oh yeah, it's French.
Yeah.
Whereas a Latin American studio,
well, they're quite a global company now, so.
But even I don't know, I feel like for the most part,
you don't think Life is Strange is quite French?
Okay, fine, sure, yeah.
At least the original, right? Sure. I mean, the True Colors is not made by Don't Nod anymore.
Yeah,
but I think that the original Life is Strange. I mean, man, when did Blue is the Warmest Color come out?
Sure.
Just in terms of having the blue-haired lesbian lead,
Sure.
Yes, I think there's some Frenchness to it.
I'm not saying there's not any. I just mean to say, I don't think of these studios as being so locked into a like country-based style, or having to make games that are that way, right? When you see games that come out of quote unquote unexpected countries, I feel like they have to be about that, right?
Mm.
It's like, oh, like this is a Colombian developer, right? And it's about Colombia.
Sure.
Whereas the French studios benefit from a whiteness, perhaps, that allow them to have maybe some aesthetic styles that are quite French, but aren't necessarily like, it must be set in France.
Sure.
It has to be about eating cheese and croissants.
Yeah, I guess I haven't played Dordogne, but I kind of have to assume it's about living in France.
Sure.
But yeah, I see what you mean. But I do think that's sort of a symptom of indiness, kind of, too. You make more personal games.
Sure.
That might just be because it doesn't have a AAA studio in that country making Ubisoft-type Assassin's Creeds.
That's fair. It will be interesting to see if I don't even know what the developer is for Clair Obscur. I don't remember their name. Sandfall. It will be interesting to see if they make another very French game.
I mean, they've definitely hinted that they're thinking about continuing the Clair Obscur series name.
Yeah.
Which is quite a French series name. It is French.
Sure, but it's also just vibey.
I mean, I just assume. I mean, they didn't name it Chiaroscuro on purpose.
Sure, that's true. But I have to imagine they will. I mean, yeah, it's like, do they feel locked into just creating styles that are reminiscent of various French eras?
I mean, when there's an interview with Polygon on them on like their Frenchness, right? Because Clair Obscur has mimes and baguette outfits, and there was a whole baguette trailer that featured all the scenes with the French dub in their baguette outfits, including some that don't even have baguette outfits in the final game.
Yep.
So quite French. There's a rock named Francois.
Yep.
No relation to the developer Francois that works there.
Yeah.
They're just like, what's a stereotypically French name?
And he had one.
Yeah. And they were joking like, yeah, we'll just put snails and frogs everywhere in the next one, and it'll be even more French. So we'll see.
Yeah, will be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I don't feel like, well, something's got to change, right? They can either keep the Belle Epoque and do something different stylistically, gaming style wise. But I don't think they will do that. I have to think that much like Final Fantasy, right? It's just gonna be French Final Fantasy.
Probably, yeah.
Which will be interesting. Well, it seems like it's better to be a game developer in France. That's ultimately my takeaway.
Sure.
And I mean, you might have to work at Ubisoft, I guess.
Yeah.
Which might be bad. But you do seem to have more worker protections, and you might work in a chateau.
Fair enough, yeah.
Which is unlikely. Both those things are unlikely to happen in the States.
Yeah.
Are there genres that you would like to see Frenchified?
I don't even know what that means, honestly.
Whatever you want it to mean.
What games would I like to see more mimes in? A very good question.
I thought so.
I think there is I did not unlock it because it requires getting all the other jobs to like a high level in Final Fantasy Tactics, but I do believe the ultimate job in that is the mime.
Nice.
And I do think that as like a class in like a strategy game, the mime has some potential.
Sure.
You know? So
is Mr. Mime a prominent character in Pokemon X and Y?
I have no idea.
Let's hope.
I don't know if Mr. Mime is a prominent character in any of the games. He comes up in the
He's
show.
Ash's dad.
He's Ash's dad.
Ash Ketchum, half French, via Mr. Mime.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like I had some kind of good quip, and now it's gone. Isn't that a shame? Oh, I remember. When I was in Paris, I walked by some kind of like work uniform shop, and it gave me such strong, I mean, maybe these exist in Final Fantasy Tactics too, it gave me such strong Yakuza Like a Dragon shop for job stuff vibes. I was like, oh, like there's a construction worker and a doctor. So anyway, RPGs are real in Paris.
So you're saying they should add a mime job to the next Yakuza?
Honestly, that'd be sick. Yeah. You had a defensively oriented class.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool.
All right, cool.
Yeah. No, I'd like to see more games with the Eiffel Tower.
Sure.
Just generally. You could probably do something good with the Louvre. Sure. Just in general. Or as the heist game that I'm looking for at all times.
That does remind me, one of my favorite little fun facts is in the opening cutscene of the original Nier, when it zooms out to show like a recognizable landmark for you to be like, oh, this is the real world. In the Japanese version, it's Tokyo Tower, but in the Western release, it's Big Ben.
Sure.
So really, it should be the Eiffel Tower.
It should be the Eiffel Tower. I agree. And really, ultimately, if you'd like to experience France in video games, you ought to play Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
Not the first one, though.
No, there's no France. They do not go to France in the first one. I guess they go to Africa.
Yep.
That is where Tarzan is set, right?
I think so.
I assume so.
Yes. Also Asia via Aladdin.
Right, and they go to a different part of Asia in 2.
Yes, east.
Yeah.
Yes. A lot of world traveling in Kingdom Hearts.
You know, they actually go to 2 France. In Dream Drop Distance, they go to different France.
Where do they go?
Where Sora is called a slur.
Which one is that?
Hunchback of Notre Dame.
You're right! Sora goes to Paris.
He does, yeah.
I forgot. Wow, I didn't even think about that. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I guess they've missed South America so far.
Encanto? Next Kingdom Hearts?
Could happen, actually. Yeah.
Or Coco? Several options.
Sure. Yeah. I maybe know Australia yet.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Can't think of a Disney.
Yeah, Australia. I don't know. I don't think so.
Ah, well. Sora can't go everywhere. Well, Emma, any closing thoughts?
Games are cool.
Ain't that the truth?
I think it's cool that different places can make different games.
Yeah, they'll be interesting to see if the success of Sandfall and Clair Obscur leads to a rise in French semi-indies. Yeah. I would imagine probably yes, because people will be paying more attention to them, and that's what it takes. Yeah. Well, listeners, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
Have you played any good games that came out of France or were set in France, including Kingdom Hearts, or, I don't know, like Civilization, whatever? Do you feel like there's other countries that could use their kind of aesthetic style in a way that would be totally culturally neutral for the most part, like France? Do you think that Clair Obscur should keep the Belle Epoque or move to some other era? Do you think Napoleon Bonaparte would have liked video games? If you have thoughts about this or anything else we talked about this week, hit us up on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Blue Sky at Talk This Podcast. You can also visit our website, www.talkthispodcast.com, where you can read all about the show, check out the games in the hat, and read our blog. But most importantly, if you enjoy the show, you ought to subscribe. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, Pandora Podcasts, online and on the app, Overcast, Pocket Casts, wherever you can find podcasts. Go ahead and subscribe to Talk This so you never miss an episode on Sundays. Next week, Emma, we are talking about...
I believe our old game is Binary Domain, and our new game is Peak.
So look forward to that next week, and then to Emma's side quest, and then we probably need to talk about our end-of-year schedule this year.
I think we finish and then do our end-of-year one. We finish the loop.
I have no idea how that times out, but that theoretically sounds good to me.
You said our 6th week was on, like, the 29th or something.
Sure. Okay, so yes. So in early 2026, you can look forward to our end of year podcast, which will really take place at the beginning of the year.
Yes.
All right, that's it for this week's show. Au revoir, and thank you for listening. Emma, sign us off.
This week, I hope it's magnifique.